All right, sound off in the chat room. Let me know if you guys can hear me. I always got to check the audio first. Because you never know when it might not be working. Just going to do a quick notification on Twitter. Because YouTube is going to stop doing that automatically. And minimize that. Okay, you guys can hear me. Okay, great. All right, thanks everybody for showing up. First time we're doing one of these. I was going to do this as a separate normal video with like editing and post-production and whatnot, but judging by the questions I got over the last couple of days, I decided this format would work better. Also, it does. Mouse is coming in fine. Okay, cool. Also, it saves me editing time. They're doing it this way. Just a few disclaimers before we get started here. I'm going to do the comments I got from the comment section of the last video and from Twitter first. So if you have any questions in the chat room that you want to ask, feel free, but please just wait until I get through all these other ones first. Also, I'm definitely allergic to something in the building I'm currently living in. So my voice is probably not going to last very long. So I got my cough drops here, I got my herbal tea, I got my water, but my voice is traditionally unreliable. At least it will be as long as I'm living here. So just a fair warning, I'm probably not going to sound very good by the time we get to the end of this thing. So, yeah. All right, so thanks for tuning in to the Q&A that I'm doing as kind of a thank you to everybody for helping me get to 10,000 plus subscribers. A lot faster than I thought I would a couple months ago. It's an interesting story how that happened. I was the first 10, 11 months of this channel, the growth was, well, slow would be putting it mildly. It was a slog to get any attention. Nothing I was doing was really working. You know, the Supergirl reviews were getting maybe a couple hundred views if I was lucky, and it was going on close to a year of this, and it was discouraging. And then around Christmas time, I don't know what changed, but something just exploded, and now all of a sudden here I am at 11,000 plus, and it's still not sure how that happened. So, but I figured I should do something to celebrate and thank everybody for making that happen. So here we are, and let's not waste any time because I don't know how long my voice is going to last. Let's just get right into it. Starting with the comments I got from the comments section previously. Dave Gorman asks, how did you pick the name Thorias? And there's a couple questions here, but also how do you pick the content you review? But okay, good one to start with. How did you pick the name Thorias? Well, it's kind of a long story, really. It's actually a name from Futurama. It's from the episode where Professor Farnsworth creates a bunch of genetic mutants to play against the Harlem Globetrotters. And I don't know why the name always stuck with me. I just thought it sounded cool. And I always kind of kept it in the back of my mind. I actually use it on a couple other things as a username. Now unrelated to YouTube, a couple other websites. So when it came time to open this channel, it wasn't actually the first name. The first name I came up with was The Altered Ego. And I was really in love with that name. I was married to it. I thought it sounded awesome. So I registered that name and everything. But then I realized, to my horror, that Altered Ego was also being used in everything from music to D&D. So it wasn't nearly as cool and unique as I thought it was. So I decided I had to come up with something else because I needed something that was more uniquely me. So I went through a couple other names, nothing quite Nothing really sounded quite right, but I kept coming back to Thorias. And I'm like, well, I'm using this as a username on a couple other places. Why not use it here? It just felt appropriate. Excuse me. So I went with that. But something about it didn't seem quite enough. I thought I needed something extra for that. Something to make it sound like bigger, I guess. Sorry. So I settled on like Thorias Universe because at the time I'd already created my avatar of my eyes floating in, that big, the giant star field, and so I decided to go with that. But then I realized pretty quickly that, oh wait, that kind of sounds like WWE Universe. Well, now it sounds really cheesy. I don't like it anymore. But at that point, I'd already created my logo which uses a T and a U, and my skills with Photoshop are not nearly good enough to create a second logo. I was lucky I could create the first one. So I figured, okay, well, I gotta think of something else now. But I need another word. What else starts with you? What else starts with you? And that's how I arrived on Unlimited. I thought that sounded cool. All right, let's just go with that. And that's how we arrived at that name. And how do you pick the content you review? Well, that actually started a couple of years ago on my other channel, where I primarily talk about pro wrestling. But I also had a weekly live stream where I would talk about various comic book / superhero shows that aired that week, and give my thoughts on those. And I'd talk about various shows: Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D, Arrow, The Flash, Legends of Tomorrow, a couple others. But I'd never done Supergirl before because no particular reason. It's just, well, it didn't really seem like my thing at the time, and also I figured I was doing enough shows I couldn't really handle anymore. So that was probably the big one that I'd never really attacked yet. So when I started this one, I figured, well, I've never really done Supergirl before. Why don't I do that? Just to do something different. So I decided on that one just because I'd never really tried reviewing it before. That's kind of where that came from. So yeah, okay. And this one was from Twitter, from at TGX Gamer Reviews. What happened to your old channel? Well, it's still there. It still exists. I'm just focusing on this one right now because the old channel, it felt like I'd kind of plateaued on that one, and I kind of needed a break. I needed to do something new. And the channel had stopped growing a long time ago. It wasn't even stagnating. It was actually declining. And I just figured, well, I'm not making any progress with this anymore. And I wanted to try something basically that might allow me to grow and actually feel like I'm getting somewhere. So that wasn't going to happen with the old channel, but it's still there. I may come back to it. I'll probably come back to it at some point, but for now, I'm just focusing on this one. Damn, there goes my voice already. What made you want to watch Supergirl? Yeah, I already did that one. Do you plan to review anything else after Supergirl, and if so, what? Yeah, I do. The plan has always been to start with Supergirl. Hold on. This is from Mahogany Donut on YouTube, by the way. The plan has always been to start with Supergirl and then expand outward. I didn't really have a concrete idea of what I was going to do when I started. I just knew I wanted to do Supergirl for a while. And then once I got kind of bored with that, I expanded into other shows. And the plan has since altered a little bit. I kind of play it by ear. Anything that I'm kind of in the mood for, I review at that time. And now that I wasn't intending to expand into other shows quite so soon, but now that the Supergirl reviews are getting content claimed left and right pretty quickly, I figured, well, I should probably try some different shows and see if I can get away with. I can have those uploaded for a little longer before the copyright bots swoop in on me. like the most recent Supergirl review. Let's see. That is currently sitting at like, wow, holy shit, 72,000 views and change. But only the first 20,000 of those I'm getting paid for with ad revenue. Because after that, I got the content claim on there. So only the first 20,000, and after that, I'm getting nothing. So it's probably time to review some other shows in this format and see where that gets me. And work has begun on the next one, the first non-Supergirl long-form review. I've got the script written. It's just a matter of when I get to it. The reason I'm doing this on Thursday instead of the weekend is mainly so I could begin concentrating on that one. And there's a couple other videos that may jump ahead of that one in line. There's excuse me. I'll probably want to do a movie review of Alita Battle Angel. And I also may want to talk about season 2 of The Dragon Prince, depending on how that season goes. And those reviews are kind of more time sensitive, so those will probably come first. But I have begun work on the non-Supergirl type stuff. I'm not going to say which show it is just yet, but it's a better show than Supergirl, so I won't be the Venom won't be coming so fast and furious on that one. Thoughts about reviewing any of the DC streaming shows? Not really. I have not seen Titans yet. I don't have the DC streaming service. Just because I'm trying to limit my expenses right now. Plus, I'm kind of loyal to my streaming service of choice, so I'm kind of happy with Netflix. Although I have been watching season 3 of Young Justice. Long story short, it's really good. But yeah, I don't really have a whole lot to say about it review-wise, and still haven't checked out Titans. So no real plans to review those as of yet, but in the future, it may be when I get around to watching them. Let's see. Tankless Gem 877 asks, do you see Supergirl or any other shows in the Arrowverse improving anytime in the near future? Honestly, probably not. I kind of think we're past the point where I think we're past the point where the producers would be thinking, okay, we need to improve this or tweak that to get this show to where we want it to be. Like, all shows go through that process at first. Like, there's a feeling out process where they're not quite sure how the show is supposed to work, and they try different things and they do this or that. And Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. season 1 was like that. You could tell they weren't really sure how to make the show work at first, and there was a feeling out process there, and that lasted for like half a season. And after that, it got good. But we're several seasons into the Arrowverse shows, many seasons, in fact, and they're well past that. I think that now they're very much settled into how they want these shows to work, and it's not about a feeling out process anymore. Now it's more like it's just a general mindset that would need to change at the highest level in order for these shows to improve. And I just don't think they want to. I think they're happy with the way things operate with those shows. I think they have no intention of changing. I think they know what type of audience they want to play to, and unfortunately, it's not an intelligent audience. I think they're dumbing down these shows because they don't seem to want to challenge their audience, and I think that's kind of a shame. Okay. Okay. I'm skipping over some of the ones that some of the questions I screen capped here just because there were a bunch of repeat questions. So if I'm skipping over your question, I'm sorry. It probably means somebody else also asked it. Let's see. Byoop, B-H-Y-O-O-P. I'm going to butcher a lot of these names. I'm sorry in advance. It asks, you once made a comic book review. Will you ever make more? Probably. When I did that one, I was still like experimenting with different types of videos and like reviewing different things because I hadn't really figured out what worked yet and what was going to draw an audience. And I like doing that one. it's not one of my most viewed videos. Let's see, 2,300. Yeah, I might. If there's a comic I have strong opinions on. Right now, I think that's not where my main audience is coming from. So I think for the time being, I'm going to focus on what's going to draw the most views, get me the most subscribers, because I'm still leveling up in that regard. But I would like to do more comic reviews at some point, if I find one that I have a lot to say on. Let's see. Escape the Matrix asks, simple question. What do you feel is the reason for your channel's rapid rise? When I found the channel, it had about 140 subs. Now it's on its way to 11,000. I have my theories on this, but I'd like to hear your opinion. Also, congratulations on your channel's rapid rise. Thank you very much. Well, I'll say I would love to hear your theories on that, because I'm still very much in the dark. I talked about this a minute ago. It was a real struggle originally when I started out. Those first, most of 2018 actually. I got about 50 subscribers for the first video, the review of the Supergirl pilot, and I was really happy with that. I thought, well, hey, that's a great place to start. All right, and then after that, it was nothing. Things were coming in at a trickle. And that's being generous. I would get like maybe 1 or 2 new subs for a new video, and sometimes not even that. So after about 10, 11 months, I'm sitting at, it took me that long to break 100. At the end of the year, I'm at about 120, and it's been very slow going, and I'm figuring, well, I mean, by the end of 2019, could I maybe get to 1,000? Because they say getting those first 100 is the hardest. So maybe could I get 1,000 in a year? I don't know. And I honestly didn't know. And then around Christmas time, something just exploded. And now here we are a little over a month later. And I don't know how it happened. I really don't. I wish I had an answer for you, but I have no clue. The only thing I can come up with is that maybe YouTube made some kind of tweaks to the algorithm to possibly make it work better, which seems really unlikely. Or maybe I just passed some kind of mercurial threshold where you get 100 plus, and then maybe YouTube starts to promote you more. I have no idea. Honestly, I wish I had an answer for you, but it's still a mystery to me. I'm very grateful, but I have no idea how it happened. Okay. TJ Gonzalez asks, with shipping culture today, can ruin a new show of live and animated if they don't deliver on the top ships. What's your advice for new creators who just want to write a good story and or world for their characters, but has fear from the shipping fandom ruining their work all because of a relationship they didn't plan? I think I know what this is referring to. Oh, wow. My advice would be to any writers out there, just focus on telling the best story you possibly can. You do what you think is going to be the most compelling journey for the characters. And if it's this relationship or that relationship, then you do what you think is best. But also bear in mind fan criticism. And if you've got a lot of fans saying one thing or another, be flexible. Don't be afraid to change course if what you're doing isn't working, or if a lot of people don't like it. I would. No, wait, no, I'm not going to talk about the Flash yet. That's something else. I was gonna criticize Barry and Iris, but let's not go there yet. But yeah, keep in mind though that there's a lot of toxic fans out there. Referencing the Voltron fandom, which I love the show, but that fandom is a minefield. Because. And depending on who you ask, referring to Voltron, they may have had like a set plan to do Allura and Lance from the beginning, or they may have wanted to keep their options open for at least the first 2 seasons or so, maybe 2-3 seasons. I kind of think they wanted to do it from the beginning, but there was some internal conflict about that. But you know, the fans became really toxic because there was this sect of fans that really wanted to see Lance and Keith get together. And I tell these people, guys, it takes like a year to make an episode of this show. So they're already way, way ahead of us. So even if they wanted to do Keith and Lance, they can't change the plan now because we're watching like season 3. They're probably working on like season 6 or 7 by now, you know? So they can't course correct. So it's a lot easier to course correct in live action, but as far as animation, just do what you think is best. Just focus on telling the best story you possibly can. Hopefully fans will go along with it. Maybe they won't, but that's really the only thing you can do. Okay. Also, okay, Tankless Gem 87 asks, hold on. All right, I was afraid it froze up there. Tankless Gem 87 asks, what type of content do you think you'll be doing in the future? That is kind of up in the air. That I kind of play that one by ear. Originally, I was just focusing on doing the episodic reviews that I started with. And then I kind of expanded outward into doing like movie reviews and the cannon fodder style stuff, and then into top 10 lists and stuff. It's basically anything that I get like an idea for. Like there's like I have a thought about something that would make a different type of video. I like to do that because I don't like to do the same stuff all the time. You know, I like to try different things, at least in terms of video making. But no plans for a different style of video just yet, although I do have an idea in the back of my mind that I may get to eventually. It's a kind of like a different category of review. It would be like the Supergirl reviews, like the long form ones, except I'd be calling this like the Hall of Shame episodes, because there are certain episodes of television that are so bad that they kind of they're not just bad, they're offensive, and I find them insulting on a very like visceral level. And there are I have a few episodes in mind that I could put in that category. So I figured, well, if I do one of these, I can duck them into my Hall of Shame, you know. So there are a few that I could put in there right now. And spoiler alert, they're all episodes of The Flash. So at some point, I may have to start reviewing The Flash, God help me, so I could put those in there. So that's one thing I'd kind of like to do, but no plans for a different style of video right now. I think I'm going to stick with what I've got for the time being. Raul Siddhartha, hope I'm pronouncing that right. Could you start reviewing Riverdale? Riverdale, wow. Okay, I talked about this in the test video, but one of my criteria for reviewing things in this format is well, the first one is it has to be something that I feel like I have a unique perspective on, and the second one is it has to be something that I haven't seen reviewed like ad nauseum by somebody else in a similar format. And in this case, there's a reviewer out there. I think Alex Myers is his name. You probably, if you're looking for Riverdale reviews, you've probably seen those. You know, Riverdale is a weird show, and he does like all this cool animation and stuff, and he kind of like tears that show apart. And I can't really, I can't equal what he does on there. So I'm thinking I'm probably going to leave Supergirl. I mean, I'm probably going to leave Riverdale alone. For that reason, is, you know, for the same reason, I probably won't be doing Star Trek reviews, because SF Debris and Doomcock have kind of cornered the market on those, and I can't equal what they do. But yeah, I have seen Riverdale. I watched the first season. It was kind of a fun little guilty pleasure show at the time. Didn't really watch it beyond there. I have seen bits and pieces of it, and but wow, if I were so inclined, I could probably tear that show a new one. in Supergirl fashion, because that show has become downright absurd. I've seen little things. I think there was a recent episode where they did a blatant ripoff of Silence of the Lambs, which, I mean, yeah, CW viewers will totally get that reference, right? With Betty and her dad. Oh God, there was another one where I think Archie was mauled by a bear or something, and they ended an episode where he was dead. Like, that was the implication. He was obviously dead. That's what they were hinting at. And in the next episode, they don't even follow that up. He's like totally fine. Okay, he got taken to the hospital. He healed up. He got out of the hospital. All happened off screen in between episodes. And in the next episode, he's fine. He's walking back to Riverdale all on his own. I'm like, oh, you bastards! You bastards! It was the cheapest thing. It was like it was the television equivalent of clickbait. That's what it was. They had no intention of following up on that story, no intention of actually paying that off. They literally just ended it that way because they wanted a cliffhanger to get people to come in to tune in next week. And then after they got people to tune in, I was like, well, we don't need to follow that up anymore, so fuck it. Oh, those sons of bitches. So yeah, that pissed me off. So I think I could do some really entertaining Riverdale reviews. But like I said, Alex Myers already does them way better than I ever could. Thaddeus J asks, are you excited for the last Star Wars movie? Oh man. Sore subject. You know, I wish I could tell you yes. And it kills me that I can't say that, because I love Star Wars. I've loved Star Wars my whole life. But The Last Jedi, man, that movie really killed a lot of my enthusiasm. I'm not excited about Episode 9 so much as dreading it, because I know I'm gonna have to. If I watch that movie, I'm gonna have to go back to the universe where, that did Carrie Poppins, and that turned Luke Skywalker into a cowardly deserter, and where Han Solo is dead, and where Rose Tico exists, and I have faith that J.J. Abrams knows where Episode 8 went wrong, and I think he'll probably try to mitigate a lot of the damage. But it's kind of irreparable now. I mean, how do you fix what The Last Jedi did to Luke? How do you fix that? I don't know. I mean, it might be irreversible at this point. So it's. I wish I could tell you yes. I wish I could say I'm excited for it, but I think about Episode 9, and I'm kind of, it's non-excitement followed by dread. I just feel like it's going to be like going to a funeral, and that hurts me. That really hurts me. That's how bad The Last Jedi was. Let's see. At DragonZord572. 1 second. At DragonZord572 asked, would you rather watch a Captain Marvel movie with Marvel instead of Carol? Not particularly. I mean, I believe Marvel is in the movie. I think that's who Jude Law is playing. But I mean, Marvel hasn't really been a big deal in the comics for a long time. I mean, he's been gone for ages at this point. I mean, love it or hate it, Carol Danvers is Captain Marvel now. And I think most people are going to hate that, because that's when she became Captain Marvel. I think that's kind of when the character got ruined. Once upon a time, back when she was Ms. Marvel, I think the character had a lot more fans. But they tried to promote her to A-list status, and in the process, they kind of ruined her. It's just bad writer, bad writer, bad writer, bad writer, bad writer. And now her Captain Marvel title has been canceled and relaunched I don't know how many times. I think Ethan Van Sciver counted. I think it was something like 7 or 8 times now. And no one can make this character catch on. And that's a shame, because I liked her when she was Ms. Marvel. It just, I think one of the Captain Marvel videos I did, I said, look, I think the character has a lot of potential, but Marvel has just squandered it and just kind of ruined her. And Carol, I think, is mostly synonymous with Captain Marvel now. I don't think you could bring Marvel back at this point. And so the whole Captain Marvel IP is kind of tarnished. And I don't think you can go back. That's the bitch of it. I think all they can do is try to fix it somehow. And I don't feel like the movie is going to do that. Let's see. Nerdaholics1 asked, with Game of Thrones Season 8 not long away, who do you think will survive and who gets the chop? Well, I think I kind of think Season 8 is going to be a bit of a bloodbath. I can't see the series ending on a happily ever after note. I don't think that's the kind of show this is or the kind of books these are. If I had to pick like the big major death, I kind of think Jon Snow might die. I mean, even though he's kind of the hero of the story, I mean, but Ned Stark was the hero of the story in season 1. Look what happened to him. But yeah, I think what I suspect may happen is that Daenerys and Jon are going to come together and then be torn apart, because once it's revealed that Jon is the heir to the Iron Throne, well, Dany's not going to like that. I think there's going to be some kind of conflict between those two, and you throw in the threat of the White Walkers, it's just all going to get mashed together. I think somewhere along the way, Jon Snow may end up buying it. I think he may defeat the White Walkers, but it may cost him his life. And I think there's a conflict with Daenerys there that may factor into that somehow. I think it'll probably end with Daenerys on the Iron Throne, but I'm not sure if Jon's going to make it to the end. Number one Lobster asked, how do you feel about Voltron shipping? Oy. The whole Voltron shipping thing became a really toxic environment. I'm not sure when or how that happened, but I was very loyal to Lance and Allura. I love those two dating back to the original series. Defender of the Universe. I always thought they made sense together. Always thought they had a lot of chemistry. But I mean, this Clance thing kind of came out of nowhere. Which I don't understand. Where were people seeing the romantic possibilities with those two? Lance likes girls. He's always liked girls. There's no concrete evidence of Keith being sexually attracted to anyone. Maybe one or two tiny little hints with Aksha, but aside from that, I mean, romantically attracted to Lance, where are people getting that from? The evidence just wasn't there. But they latched onto it, and they got really angry and bitter and hostile with anybody who tried to say that it wouldn't happen. And I'm not trying to paint every Clance shipper with the same brush. I know they're not all like that, but my interactions with Clance shippers have been almost universally negative because of people like that. And a lot of those people. I mean, there were Clance shippers who were tweeting at the cast and crew saying, "Oh, I'll come to your house and break your arms if Clance doesn't happen." It's like, Jesus Christ, people. I mean, this is unhealthy. This is an obsession now. That's the kind of people that were in that fandom, and they kind of spoiled it for a lot of people. If you were ship Clance, okay, so be it, but be realistic. If you're being realistic with yourself, you had to know that it wasn't going to happen. And you're getting angry and attacking people who believe that it wasn't going to happen. Well, you're only hurting your own case, and you're only making yourself look like a jackass. There were so many people in that fandom, and that's one positive about the show being over, is that I don't really have to deal with people like that anymore. Palms of Science. Will you review old hero movies like the Jonah Hex one? The Jonah Hex, probably not. I haven't seen it. I don't really have any affinity for the Jonah Hex character, so I wouldn't really know what's faithful to the source material and what isn't. Although I heard that movie is really bad. Old superhero movies, actually, the thing that planted the original seed, which became what I'm doing now, is Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, the first one, and really all three of them, but the first one mainly, because I walked out of that movie back in the day, and I did not like it, not at all, and I was very weirded out because so many people were raving about that movie, telling how much they loved it, how awesome it was. I'm like, wow, what were they seeing that I wasn't? I was not enamored with that movie at all. I had very strong opinions about it that seemed to put me in the minority. But it occurred to me, if I had the right platform to express my thoughts on that in the right way, I think people would listen, or at least I think I'd at least have an audience. They might not agree with me, but they might listen. And so I felt like, one of these days I'd like to, once I feel like I've gotten good enough at the reviewing thing, I'd like to give Sam Raimi's Spider-Man a shot, really dissect that and explain why I don't think it's a good movie. And I'm not there yet, but that's on the bucket list. So, excuse me. Sorry. I hate this apartment. So much dust in the air. My throat really does not like this place. So I'm just counting the days till I can move out. Presumably it'll be in around mid-April. So past the halfway point. Let's see. So that's everything that that's all the best questions I got from YouTube comment section and from Twitter. So if you have anything in the comment section you want to ask me, ask away. And I'll try to get through these, or at least the best ones, until my voice craps out. Let's see. Just found your channel like a week ago. Your Supergirl videos are, well, super. Hey, thank you. Opinion on The Flash Season 5. Well, honestly, I haven't been watching The Flash. I watched the first 3 seasons of The Flash, and that was only because I was reviewing them on a live stream at the time. After Season 3, I just couldn't take it anymore. If I hadn't been reviewing it, I would have stopped during Season 1. Because honestly, that is not a good show, guys. That is not a good show. And that's putting it lightly. And I have many reasons. And if and when I start reviewing The Flash, I will get into them. Mark my words. But yeah, Season 3 was like the final slap in the face for me. I was like, I threw up my hands like, I'm done. Guys, I'm done. I can't do it anymore. And actually, I believe that was the time I stopped doing the live stream, actually. But purely coincidence. I have considered I have considered reviewing The Flash. I think it's a matter of when, not if, I get to it. Do you think Kara is childish and should act her age, aka act like an adult? Oh, wouldn't that be nice? Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the issues I have with Kara is that, like, emotionally speaking, she's like a teenager in a mid-20-something body. Just the way she acts. I think a lot of that is the way she's being directed to act. Because the show is obviously geared at young girls, and for some reason the producers think, well, we need to have our main character act like a young girl in order to appeal to young girls, and that's really not the case. You could just have her be cool. Young girls would like her if she's cool. I'm sure young girls, I'm sure there were many young girls who wanted to be like Princess Leia back in the day, or like Lara Croft, or Samus Aran. These are female characters, strong female characters who don't act like little girls, who act like adults. But here, I don't know what they're going for with Supergirl. It's like the way she behaves, like around boys and stuff, and whatever. It's like, are you Are you an adult or not? Just, I don't know. Emotionally, she's like a child. It's very disconcerting. Let's see. What do you think of Cloak and Dagger and Runaways? Well, I haven't seen Runaways. I've heard it's good, but I don't subscribe to Hulu. Like I said, I'm pretty loyal to Netflix. Yeah, I've seen little bits and pieces of it, but I would like to check out Runaways, but I probably have to watch it via other means because I can't really afford to subscribe to another streaming service right now. I have seen Cloak and Dagger. I like it. It bears very little resemblance to the comics. Almost none, in fact. I don't know where this divine pairing thing is coming from. That is not their origin in the comics at all. But if you can accept the fact that they're using the comics more for a kind of like a vague inspiration and taking a lot of liberties, if you can get beyond that and just enjoy it for what it is, it's a good show. The acting is really good. It's well cast. I did spend a lot of season one wondering if there was, if a supervillain was ever going to show up at some point. They don't actually get there. I think they're trying to make it more of a drama than a superhero adventure, which is kind of what I was looking for. But dramatically, it's well done. It's a good show. I don't know if I'm going to stick with it, but I did enjoy season one. Kind of slow paced. I think they're very much trying to downplay the whole comic book show thing, but it's still good on its own. It's still good on its own merits. Hey, dude, I've been a fan of yours since the infamous Alien versus Predator Requiem video. Still makes me laugh to this day. Oh, thank you very much. Wow, that takes me back. Yeah. Yeah, that's from the old channel. Yeah, wow, you're a follower of mine from back in the day. Wow, thank you for sticking with me so long. That means a lot to me. Let's see. Okay. I think a lot of people who came over from the other channel. Let's see. Thoughts on Arrow, specifically the first two seasons? Well, the first two seasons of Arrow were, I think, easily the best Arrow has been. And looking back on it now, probably the best the Arrowverse has been were those two seasons. I thought season one was very good. Season two was excellent. Ever since then, the show has not been the same. And I actually haven't watched it in a while. But season 1 and 2 was the best of Arrow, as I've seen it. After that, they lost something. I think there's a lot of things that factored into it. I mean, the action hasn't been as impressive. The whole Felicity relationship kind of ruined it for a lot of people. That character was kind of obliterated for a long time. And I'm not sure how that happened. In the first two seasons, she was my favorite character. But once they became romantically involved, man, I don't know what happened to that character, but they kind of ruined her. Now I kind of just want Felicity to go away. And I'm not sure what they're up to in the show recently. I know they got married, I think, last season. Which, I mean, if you still care about that relationship, okay. I don't really. But yeah, the show is past its prime. I think, although I will say this, of all the Arrowverse shows, I think Arrow still tries to be good. I don't think The Flash was ever really trying. Supergirl is not trying, as far as I've seen. Legends of Tomorrow, don't even get me started. But Arrow, I think, still puts in effort, still tries to be good. I think even though the show is past its prime, you can. They're still putting in effort, even though that effort is not really. It doesn't really bear as much fruit as it used to. I think they still try, but the show is just. It's maybe hanging on. It might be time to end it at this point. Excuse me. Who's copyright claiming your show? How is your video not fair use? They're only getting about 1 million viewers. How long will Supergirl last? Who's copyright claiming the show? Honestly, I think it just boils down to YouTube not really understanding how fair use works. Because as I understand it, this happens to a lot of people, which is depressing. You know, I work really hard on those videos to try to avoid the content claim. I don't use any clips over 10 seconds. And even if I'm using, you know, a clip that's like under that much, I always try to cut them up as much as I can. Like I'll take a clip from here and put it over there. Or if there's a shot, you know, a cut between shots, I'll take a few frames from in between them, you know, just to make sure, you know, I'm changing the footage as much as I can, because, you know, that's kind of how fair use works. You got to take something and kind of change it around for the purposes of review. So I always try to do that, and I try to keep the clips of the footage and sound bites from the show. I try to keep those as short as possible, and you know, I try to keep everything under 10 seconds, nothing longer than 10 seconds. And I thought that would keep me pretty safe, but apparently not. I think it was working for a little while back when no one was watching, but now that the reviews are kind of blowing up, I guess YouTube is paying closer attention. So I'm going to have to, I guess I'm going to have to be even more strict with my editing in the future to try to ward off those content claims, because I gets to get paid. Do you write full scripts or use outlines for your reviews? No, I script everything out. I honestly, I wish I could be like those people, excuse me, who can just turn on a camera and just go completely off the cuff for like 10, 20 minutes and speak really eloquently. I really envy people like that. Like Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers. He's like that. He could just, you know, read like an article online and get inspired, just turn on the camera and just rant for 10 minutes and just speak. And to speak really well and concisely and get his point across really well. I'm not like that, unfortunately. I wish I was. I really envy those who are. Now, to do the reviews, I'll watch the episode and I'll take a lot of notes on it, and then I'll script everything out word for word, because it's kind of what I have to do. I have to take time and really think about what I'm going to say before I do a review, and that almost always involved writing out a script. And it's kind of a long process, but that's what I have to do. And, you know, like I said, it takes a lot of work, but you know, it is the way it is, and it takes what it takes. That's my process, and some people more talented than I can probably do it a lot faster, but you know, this is what I have to do. Let's see. What do you think about the other DC shows like Gotham? No spoilers for season 5, please. Well, no. Well, you're in no danger of being spoiled from me, because I didn't watch beyond season 1. I thought season 1 was so bad I just couldn't take it anymore. I watched the end of season 1 and that was it. A lot of people have told me that it got better after that. I suspect it did, because it couldn't possibly get much worse, in my opinion. But like I told people on the other channel, like it could become the best show on television, and I wouldn't care at this point. I'm sure it probably did get better, but I just don't care to watch it. I just don't. I'm sorry. Thoughts on James Gunn possibly directing Suicide Squad? Who should take Ben Affleck's place in The Batman? Oh, boy. I think Warner Brothers made they got themselves a hell of a coup due to Disney's myopia. I think Disney kind of shit the bed on that one. I think they had a knee-jerk reaction to something that was not even that big of a deal. I'm not defending the tweets. James Gunn was wrong to say those things on social media and just leave them up there for as long as he did. I'm not saying it was a good thing. He should have been reprimanded on some level, but to have him lose his gig when like the whole cast and crew, like all the cast members were like vouching for him, says, no, this is a smear campaign. Dave Bautista said this. You know, this is a smear campaign. This is ridiculous. James Gunn's a great guy. You know, this whole thing has been blown out of proportion, and it was. I mean, it was a couple tweets. And people are so reactionary these days. I mean, if you want to watch him closely and maybe like make an extra effort to vet him and keep him in line, okay, fine. But I mean, to have him kicked off the gig when his Guardians of the Galaxy movies have been so good and so successful, it's just ridiculous to me. And obviously Warner Brothers felt the same way because Disney, you know, gave James Gunn the boot and they scooped him up. And Disney's loss, Marvel's loss, is Warner Brothers' gain. I think if he wants to direct Suicide Squad, let him. You'll get a good movie out of it. Who should take Ben Affleck's place in the Batman? Well, we're not even sure what kind of direction that movie is going to take. Originally, I guess he was going to do it originally, but now he's not. And now there's rumors that Robert Pattinson is going to be in the Batman. So I guess they're taking a change of direction. So now it's not going to be an older Batman anymore. Now it's the younger Batman. We don't know. It's all just rumors. Honestly, I like Ben Affleck as Batman. I think it's a shame that he's not doing it anymore. I think that he didn't have the best material to work with. I think it's a shame he didn't get better scripts as Batman. But I did like. I thought he had potential to be a great Batman. It's just you know, the movies he was in didn't really do him any favors. Who could replace him? As a younger Batman, God, I don't know. I'd be fine with them doing like a talented unknown. Probably not going to work out. But the Robert Pattinson rumor, Jesus Christ, I haven't seen him in anything else. Well, I barely seen him in anything outside of the Twilight thing. Well, he was fine in Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. I thought he did well in that. Oh God, that movie that's the movie with the guy from Sons of Anarchy, whose name I can't remember. The movie about finding like they were on like a riverboat in like South America trying to find like a lost city of the Incas or something. I forget the name of it, but he was all right in that one. I think he seems to do well in outside of the Twilight movies, but I don't know if I see the guy as Batman. Man, I'm drawing a blank on that one. Let's see. Will you do a face reveal? When the time is right, perhaps. Who's to say I haven't done one already? Wink. Yeah, well, when the time is right, I'll probably do one. Right now, one of the things on my list of things to get with to pay for with ad revenue is a new camera. Because I do have a camera, but it's really old and not great quality. It's really cheap. I got it at Kmart for like $200 like years ago. So that really wouldn't fly anymore. Looking for higher quality. And if it were something that I want to put in a video, I want the quality to be good. So I'd like to save up for a better camera. And once I get that at point X in the future, I'll probably do that. I think I'd probably like to switch to being on camera for movie reviews. I kind of like to change those up. Maybe have like a green screen in the background and put like the screenshots from the movie back on there. But if I'm appearing on camera for the movie reviews, that'd probably save me some time. If I could just shoot them like into the camera, and I wouldn't not have to go through Adobe Audition to like tweak the audio over and over. That would be faster. I could get those out quicker. So I'm constantly looking for ways to bypass Adobe Audition because that audio editing is not my favorite thing. Thoughts on the backlash in Ghostbusters 3 from the Ghostbusters reboot fans? Wow. This is about the Leslie Jones article, isn't it? Oh man, I was real close to doing a video on that one, just doing a rant video and just berating Leslie Jones for being such an idiot about that. Okay, so there's a backlash from fans of Ghostbusters 2016 because they're going back to the OG continuity with Ghostbusters 3, which is what fans of Ghostbusters wanted all along. They didn't want a reboot, they wanted Ghostbusters 3 in the first place. Fucking Amy Pascal and Paul Feig, oh my god. Okay, but I guess my response to people complaining about this is, what the hell do you expect? Ghostbusters 2016 failed. And not because it starred women, not because all men are ignorant sexist pigs. It failed because it was a bad movie, because it wasn't the movie that Ghostbusters fans wanted. It failed because it exploited its IP for really shallow purposes, and they delivered a crap movie that was nothing but a bunch of improv SNL skits where they seemed to have a real disdain for all its male characters, which was painfully unfunny, which had a horrible villain, which was riddled with plot holes, had a terrible script. It failed because it was a bad movie. And it lost the studio something like $70 million. And you're complaining that they're going back to Ghostbusters 3 to kind of right the ship and do it with the original continuity now. Did you think they wouldn't do that? Did you honestly think they were going to get a sequel for Ghostbusters 2016? That was never going to happen, guys. The movie was a colossal failure. It was a miserable failure. A sequel is not going to happen. So anyone complaining about Ghostbusters 3, well, go to the bargain bin at Walmart and get a copy of Ghostbusters 2016 for $4.99 and go watch that. Probably the only place you'd be able to find a copy of it. Yeah, outside of the bargain bin, you probably have to go to a landfill somewhere and find all those unwatched copies of it that way. That was not a good movie, guys. I'm sorry. It was a bad movie, and it failed. The studio lost a ton of money on that project. You're never going to see a follow-up on that movie. You're just not. Going back to Ghostbusters 3, which is the movie that the fans wanted in the first place, is the only way they could possibly salvage this IP at this point. Excuse me. Sorry. My throat. How would you introduce the X-Men and the Fantastic Four into the MCU? Well, the way I do it probably is not the way they will do it, because the time frame won't match up, and they won't have time to do it, because I think until they dot all the I's and cross the T's in the contract, they can't start working on ways to introduce them. I think Kevin Feige said that in an interview. He said he's waiting for the green light to start planning on ways to introduce them. And he said, oh, that might happen in the next 6 months, or it'll probably happen in the next 6 months, meaning that it hasn't happened yet. Because the way I would do it would be in the post-credit scene of Avengers Endgame. Because I would say, like, okay, obviously they're going to reverse what Thanos did, at least to a large extent. But that means the Avengers are going to get their hands on the Infinity Gauntlet at some point in Endgame. And they're going to put the universe back the way it was. or maybe not exactly the way it was. Like the way I would do it is they set things right. They set the universe right, but instead of being like 100% the way it was before, maybe it's like 99.9% there. But something happens and they couldn't get it exactly like it was before. Like it's close enough for government work, but there's been a change. Like something about the universe is different now. And that's how mutants can exist. And that's how the Fantastic Four can be a thing. Well, they wouldn't have to change the universe to make the Fantastic Four exist. They could just do an origin story like that. But that's how they can say that mutants have existed since like the '60s or whatever. They've just they've kind of been existing on the fringes and not really in the mainstream consciousness. But now here's the X-Men, and now here's like the Brotherhood and all that stuff. They can just say that they've been there all along because the universe has shifted, and now mutants have always existed in the world. That's kind of how I do it. Like, I have like a post-credit scene of, I don't know, wow. Maybe some people like mining vibranium, and they're saying, they're saying, oh wait, this metal is strange. This isn't vibranium. So we got to come up with something else to call it. Adamantium, maybe? Yeah, that sounds good. Or I don't know, maybe like just do some kind of hint that mutants exist now. I think it's kind of how I do it at the end of Endgame. Do you watch Sabrina on Netflix? I've watched the first 3 or 4 episodes. Oh wow, that show is weird, man. It's interesting, sort of. I'm not quite sure how to pin it down yet. It's very over the top, very cartoonish. I mean, the dialogue is so out there. I mean, I watched the show with my through the cracks in between my fingers. I'm like, guys, nobody talks like this. This is so cartoonish. I know it's based on an Archie comic, but good God, I mean, with this dialogue. I mean, the characters are so over the top, but at the same time, it gets seriously dark at times. I mean, some of the imagery they use. It's like, oh my God, who is this supposed to appeal to? I don't know, because it's. I thought it was for young girls, but this would scare the hell out of young girls. So I don't know who they're playing to. So I think it's a really bizarre mishmash of the macabre and like YA stuff, and they got to find some kind of balance. Also, it's strange. Nothing in that show is well lit. Like even in the school, everything is dark. And her house is always really dark. Like turn on the freaking lights, guys. I mean, why is everything so dark? I don't know. I think so far it's very much a style over substance show, not unlike Riverdale. But I may come back to it at some point. I think it's interesting. I don't think it's particularly good, but it is interesting. Let's see. Put me completely off of Star Wars. Yeah. Let's see. What are your thoughts on the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 6 trailer? Excuse me. I'm going to wait and see. Wait until I see more. I think it looks like they have a budget again. I think that was kind of one of my issues with Season 5 is that they obviously had a reduced budget, and it showed. Because there were a lot of episodes that were kind of slow paced. There were a lot more scenes of them just having conversations in dark hallways and walking through dark hallways and doing a lot of stuff in dark hallways. You know, there wasn't as much action, a lot of just dark hallway stuff. It was kind of slow paced too. It was still good. I think they did a lot with less than they had before, but I felt like Season 5 was probably the time to end it. not on cliffhangers. I mean, do a satisfying ending to cap it off. But I felt like just season 5 just felt like the natural end point to me, because that's where like all the long running storylines are kind of wrapping up, and now they've got season 6 and 7 to do, and I guess they're going to be broken up into like 13 episode chunks. And season 6 trailer, it looks like they've got more money to play with, so maybe maybe the budget got increased. It looked cool. I like that Mac is in charge of S.H.I.E.L.D. now. Spoiler: Coulson is back. Well, first of all, I like Mac being in charge and not Daisy, because I think Daisy gets glorified a little too much, and they put her in charge before, and it really didn't work out very well. So Mac being in charge feels right to me. Coulson is being back. It's just this is one of the reasons I thought they should have ended it in season 5, because with season 5 they did, oh yeah, his time's running out. He made that deal with the Ghost Rider, and it kind of burned up all the Kree serum in him that was keeping him alive, and now he's on borrowed time. He doesn't have much time left, and he's going to die. Well, I always kind of thought the show should end with Coulson dying to kind of bookend it. But now apparently he did die, and now suddenly he's back. It just feels like he got like another last minute reprieve, or is this like a villain who just looks like Coulson or something? I don't know. It just feels like it kind of feels like an unnecessary reboot to me, and I'm not really a big fan of those. I still kind of feel like they should have ended it at 5 seasons. I'll still watch it. S.H.I.E.L.D. has always been a good show. Okay, the first half of season 1 was rocky, but after that, it found its stride and it got really good. It may not be as flashy, no pun intended, as the CW shows. They may do spectacle better, but that's a lot of the time that's kind of all they have to work with. S.H.I.E.L.D. has always had better writing than those shows. So I expect that it'll be good. Whether or not I find it as compelling, I don't know. Just because I think they kind of passed the natural end point of the series, and now I don't want the show to become one of those programs that go beyond their shelf life and just stick around longer than they need to. And I kind of feel like that's what might happen. I'm not saying it'll get bad, but I don't know if I'll be able to shake the feeling that it's going on longer than it needs to. Let's see. Thoughts on the first Spider-Man Far From Home trailer? Okay. I love that they're using the theme song. I hope that's in more of the movie, because it was in the first movie for like 10 seconds right at the beginning, and then they didn't use it again. I want that to be that should be the main theme of the movies. They had the perfect theme song, and they've never used it. They use it for 10 seconds in the first movie. I want that to be the main musical cue of the movie. It's so simple. I don't know why they haven't done it yet, but they did it in the trailer. I like that. I feel like there's a story there with Aunt May that they just kind of skipped over. So apparently, her and Peter are cool. She knows he's Spider-Man now, and they're just she's rolling with it. She's cool with it. And it's like, wow, they kind of skipped over that, because there's a whole storyline you could do with that, with him coming out as Spider-Man to Aunt May, and there's J. Michael Straczynski did that story in the comics where Aunt May found out he was Spider-Man, and which has since been retconned. But in the comics, that was a great story. It was really well done, and it was really emotional. And okay, now it's just okay. Yeah, she knows, and she's cool with it, and they're playing it for laughs. It's like, okay, all right. I get that they kind of want Spider-Man to be like the lighter, be like a bit lighter in tone than some of the others, probably closer to the Ant-Man movies. But I don't know. It feels like a missed opportunity there. Also, I'm not sure why they're setting it in like Europe, because Spider-Man not being in New York feels wrong to me. I'm not sure why they need they need a change of setting for that. I don't know. Maybe it'll be explained in Avengers Endgame, because supposedly Far From Home picks up like 5 minutes after Endgame ends. So maybe it'll be explained that way. But still, Spider-Man not being in New York, it's one of those decisions that just seems weird. It's not necessarily bad. It's just strange. And there were a bunch of decisions like that in the first movie, in Homecoming. Just decisions that weren't necessarily egregious or offensive or anything. You just didn't know what to make of them. Like, there's a character named Liz that Peter is crushing on. That's his love interest in the movie, is Liz. But it's not Liz Allen. It's a different Liz made just for the movie. And also there's a character named MJ, but it's not Mary Jane Watson. It's a different MJ made just for the movie, which is very strange, because why not just use Liz and MJ from the comics? You know, it's just a lot of weird decisions like that. I just didn't know what to make of them. I didn't dislike them, because I really liked Far From Home. It's just, why? You know, I look at this and I'm like, why? It seems like such an unnecessary change to make, and it didn't turn out to be like bad or anything. I just don't know what to make of it. And this setting it in Europe is a lot like that. It's like, why take him out of New York? Spider-Man's a New Yorker. He's always been situated in Manhattan. Why take him away from that? Was this just them wanting to do something different? I don't know. But Mysterio looked awesome. They nailed Mysterio's look. He looked freaking perfect. I'm glad Nick Fury is in there. So, spoiler, he's going to come back. So they save him with the Infinity Gauntlet. Comedy looked good. Comedy was on point. I'm not crazy about them doing a lot of the different Spider-Man suits. I think they kind of got him in like the Spider-Man, like the stealth suit. It's kind of not unlike the Spider-Man Noir suit, which, again, I get it. They got action figures to sell. I understand that, but it feels like kind of a cheap marketing tactic to me. I just kind of want him in the classic suit, but I guess it's going to be kind of like what they did with Captain America, how he's classic Cap in one movie, and then he's more like U.S. agent, and then he's more like what Nomad or something. He's just kind of going through the different incarnations of Cap in each movie. I guess it's going to be like that. So maybe we'll get like black suit Spider-Man in the third one, or they'll find a way to get him into like a red jumpsuit with a hoodie. So he'll be like Scarlet Spider for a minute, even though I kind of hope they don't go the clone route. So I like the trailer. It's just more weird things that I don't really know what to make of yet, but I'm excited for it. Okay. Oh, damn. Oh, we had some super chats here. The Dawn of YouTube. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. Here's the problem with the chat. It's like it lets a lot of comments build up and then posts them all at once. So rather than just kind of scrolling upwards slowly, you get like a whole crap ton of new comments all at once, and I always lose my place. This was always a problem when I did it on the other channel. Let's see. Do you watch Gotham? I watched the first season, and only because I was reviewing it at the time for a live stream, and I did not watch beyond that. Completely agree with you about the Raimi Spider-Man franchise. The first one especially, it was so overhyped and didn't deliver on it, in my opinion. 2 was decent, 3 was garbage. Man, those movies are a sore spot. And I really don't like any of them, even 2. I think a lot of my issues with it stem from just the general tone and just like the campiness and the goofiness of them. I was hoping for something more serious, or just struck a better balance of comedy and seriousness. But I think what Raimi was going for was he was trying to ape the style and tone of the original Spider-Man comics from the 60s. But the problem is, comic books from the 60s are kind of cheesy and, very much a product of the time they were made. And you can't really do that now. And, but he tried to do it, and for me, it just didn't work. I mean, the dialogue in that movie was really laughably bad at times, I thought. He tried to do things, redo things about the origin that really didn't work, like the pro wrestling angle. Like, okay, maybe you could have done that in the 60s, but now we all know that pro wrestling is scripted. You can't just, you wouldn't be able to just enter a pro wrestling match that's happening for real. That just wouldn't happen. I mean, I can suspend my disbelief enough to believe that an irradiated spider bite would give a guy superpowers, but trying to make me think that pro wrestling is real, now you're just insulting me. You know what I mean? It just a lot of really stupid stuff in that movie. Like, they go on a field trip to this place to see these genetically altered spiders that have all traits of all these different spiders combined into one. And like, okay, first of all, why on earth would you even make something like that? And second, they literally created spiders, genetically enhanced super spiders that can give you superpowers just by biting you. And first of all, they have no idea. They have no idea this could happen. No idea that these things could give a person superpowers with one bite. And then they just let one of them escape. What? It's just, who the hell would even allow that to happen? Just so many stupid things in those movies. Oh, you know what? Don't get me started. One of these days, I will do a review of the Raimi Spider-Man movies, and I will carefully go point by point, explain why I don't like them. But I'm kind of scatterbrained with it right now. But there's so many things about those movies I don't like. They just did not work for me. I actually much prefer the Amazing Spider-Man reboot, the first one, not the sequel. They kind of butchered that one. Thanks to studio interference. Thank you very much, Amy Pascal. But I liked the first Amazing Spider-Man quite a lot. And the new one, the Tom Holland version, is really good too. All-time favorite comic book writer. I don't know if I have an all-time favorite. I remember really liking, really loving Fabian Nicieza's run on X-Men back in the day. Even though his work has kind of gone to crap, but there was a time when I'd read just about anything Bendis was writing. Not so much anymore. Now he hasn't been good in years now, but his original Ultimate Spider-Man run was fantastic, I thought. And Alias, great book. The regrettably short-lived run him and Alex Maleev did on the Spider-Woman title was great. I really wish they'd continued on that one, but I don't know if I have a favorite writer. There are particular runs on books that I'm a big fan of. Grant Morrison's New X-Men, Whedon's Astonishing X-Men. Yeah, those are a couple of them. I don't know if I have like one in particular. Let's see. The Dawn of YouTube. Thank you again for the super chat. That's really cool. That's really cool of you. Let's see. What do you think of the Flash TV series? Wow. In short, I don't like it at all. I think it's not unlike most of the other DCW shows. It's very much a style over substance series. Just like with Supergirl, they're definitely writing down to an audience that they don't think is all that intelligent. They don't want to challenge the audience. They're not even trying to. So they just make this show as stupid as they can. Those writers aren't even trying. Fight me on that. I will. People have argued this with me on Twitter. I've destroyed them so many times because there's no argument they can come up with that's going to prove I'm wrong about this. There's so many plot holes and inconsistencies, and these characters are supposed to be geniuses, and that they act like the stupidest people on television. Barry in particular, Barry is the worst. He's the worst superhero ever, is this incarnation of Barry Allen. He's the absolute worst. He makes the same mistakes over and over and over again, never learns anything. I swear to God. Okay, one thing in particular. Okay, well, two. Don't get me started on the time travel stuff. But one thing in particular I noticed as early on in the first season is, well, going back to the comics. Okay, one of the reasons I never got into the Flash comics is because, well, number one, I'm not a DC guy. I'm a Marvel guy. But two is he's so overpowered. He's so fast that I don't see how anyone could ever beat him. Because realistically, a guy who can move that fast should win every fight before the fight even starts. Unless he's fighting another speedster. So if he's not fighting another speedster, it's like, well, how do you possibly beat this guy? You can't. Because as long as he just acts intelligently, he's won. He's beaten you before you can even blink. And if you have him behave that way, well, then you don't really have a TV show. That's the issue. So in order to have a TV show, the writers would have to constantly come up with reasons for why Barry can't do this. Realistically, he should beat everybody he runs across. Everybody he comes across. He can just take them down before they can even think, before they can even blink. He could. But if he does that, they don't have a show. So they have to come up with reasons for why he doesn't do this. And the one, their favorite go-to reason, the one that they come back to over and over and over and over and over again, is that Barry doesn't do this because he's just an idiot. So you constantly see him in situations where he could take the bad guy down, where there's nothing stopping him from taking the bad guy down, but he doesn't because he tries to talk to them first. Or he hesitates for no reason at all, and he gives them time to attack him from behind or escape or take somebody hostage or something like that. It's the same thing over and over. I'm like, I would watch this show wanting to strangle this character, saying, dude, this whole fight, this entire climax, completely unnecessary. All you had to do was just speed over to the guy and punch him in the face as soon as you saw him, and this whole thing could have been rectified. The whole climax, completely unnecessary, as if you'd just done that. It's the easiest thing in the world to do, and an intelligent person like Barry is supposed to be would have done that. But they don't have him do it. And there's no reason why he can't do it. So the only reason why they have a show, basically, is because Barry Allen is an idiot. It's because he's written to be an idiot. And let's see. The Dawn of YouTube, $5 super chat. Thank you very much. I'd like to pay you to shill for me. Would you be interested? And if so, how can I contact you to discuss rates and provide you with the links and stuff? Shilling for other people is not really what I do. You know, I could talk to you, I guess, but you know, I kind of just like to do my own thing. I kind of have a problem with other people. Shilling for other people is not really something I'm on board with. I'm not against having a conversation, but you know, I haven't really put much thought into you know, sponsoring other people and other products or something. I do appreciate the super chats though. And I think the best way to get in touch with me is through Twitter. So yeah, that's. I'm happy to have a dialogue with you there. That's all I can. But I'm not really promising anything else. Oh damn! Oh, excuse me. And I lost my place. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. Do you think Coulson in the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 6 trailer will end up being a Skrull? And possibly. I wouldn't rule it out, but I'm thinking probably not. Although that would be an interesting tie-in, because and I've kind of been disappointed with the lack of tie-ins because they can't really do those anymore because apparently there was some kind of falling out between Marvel's movie division and TV division. That's kind of why the tie-ins stopped for the most part, and you stopped seeing a lot of characters crossing over. So you don't see Lady Sif crossing over anymore. There are any of the other movie characters. So I kind of doubt we'll see Skrulls in there. I think they'll probably do their own thing now until Kevin Feige and Ike Perlmutter kind of kiss and make up. I would say probably not a Skrull. I think they'll come up with something else. The only real problem with doing Ghostbusters 3 now, how do you do a Ghostbusters movie without Harold Ramis? I think you could do it. Because I had the idea, this is just me, brainstorming here, but make it about their kids, or like the second generation of Ghostbusters after the originals. Like, let's see, how do I do this? Okay, like there's a storyline. Here's the story. At some point before movie 3 begins, the Ghostbusters disappeared. Like they saved New York. There was a big hullabaloo with like some huge horrifying ghost entity, like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man came back or something. They saved New York. They saved the world, but they disappeared. No one knows what happened to them, and ghosts have not been seen or heard from since. And when the movie begins, you see like the origin. You see like ghosts are beginning to reemerge. And suddenly there's a need for Ghostbusters again. And, there's a new team that comes together. And maybe you see like Oscar, like, Dana's kid from Ghostbusters 2. Maybe Oscar could be a Ghostbuster. Maybe Dana and Venkman, got back together. Maybe they got married and Venkman was a stepson or something. And maybe they had another kid. Maybe they had like a kid between them, and maybe that kid's a Ghostbuster. And I kind of like the idea of Egon making himself a test tube baby. So maybe he mixed some of his sperm with I don't know, like an ovum he got from like a Chinese fertility clinic or something. And so Egon made himself a test tube baby. Maybe Ray had a daughter or something. I kind of had it in my head that Ray's daughter would be like the main character. And so this new team, they kind of come together, and part of this the story would be about kind of dealing with this new resurgence of ghosts and figuring out how it ties into what happened to the original Ghostbusters. And you could incorporate the old characters, like in like maybe they did like TV interviews. Maybe there's one scene I imagine where Ray's daughter is watching an old interview, an old interview that he did on like a talk show or something, and that's kind of how you could get cameos from the original cast. And maybe and at the end, you find they've won the day, they've saved New York. This new team has, and then they find out what happened to the original Ghostbusters, and you see they became ghosts. And you see them like maybe they were the bad guys the whole time, but not intentionally. Maybe they had become like corrupted by some kind of ghostly influence or something. But now they've been cured, they've been healed from that, and they're kind of like friendly spirits now. And you see them at the end, you see all four of them, but they're ghosts. So that's how you could have Egon, because you see like a CGI Harold Ramis. You could do that with CG, and you're gonna see them. Hey, you saved us. We're good now. We're okay, and you kind of proved yourself. These are the Ghostbusters now, and these are they're kids, and you kind of see the passing of the torch that way. And so you could do a Harold Ramis, even though he's not there, but you could do him as CG because he's a ghost now. I think that would work. Let's see. Damn. Are you, or do you know anyone who's excited about the new Star Wars movie? I couldn't care less about Disney's abortion. You know what? I'm excited about the Clone Wars TV show coming back. Am I excited about the new Star Wars movie? No. I kind of talked about that previously, but no, I'm kind of dreading it, honestly. Yeah, The Last Jedi really killed my enthusiasm for Star Wars. I haven't even been able to watch the Plinkett review of The Last Jedi yet. I want to, but I cannot bring myself to watch it yet. I don't want to subject myself to that again. I don't want to see Holdo. Fuck Holdo. I don't want to see Rose Tico. I don't even want to hear the words Canto Bite. I can't bring myself to watch it yet. But I know I'm probably going to have to see episode 9 because that's really a movie. It's not a movie that I can't watch because I'm going to have to see it. I'm going to have to review it. But oh man, I'm dreading it. Even now, I'm dreading it. Are you a gamer? Not really. You know, I do like the assorted video game here and there, but I'm hardly what you'd call a gamer. I don't have a PS4. Last system I bought was the Xbox 360. I don't even have a lot of games for it. I do really love the Metal Gear series. Although the last one I got was Snake Eater. Final Fantasy X and 7 are two of my favorite games ever. But I'm not what you'd call like a hardcore gamer or collector or anything. Let's see. I saw on Twitter a while ago you watched the Maze Runner movies. What do you think of them? Yeah, I think they're really well done. I think. Sorry, I keep getting texts. It's my phone right there. I think, especially in the third one, the story was getting stretched pretty thin. But I think those movies I think are better than they have any right to be. I think a lot of that is down to the direction. I think the director really pulled something out of that story and those scripts that a lesser director probably would not have done. Because and the more I think about the story, the less sense it makes. I'm not sure what the purpose of the whole maze thing was ultimately, but you know, when I'm watching the movies, I don't really care because I like the characters. I think the acting is surprisingly good, probably better than a lot of other YA movie adaptations you're going to find. And I do like those movies actually. Like I said, third one I think was like, yeah, end it here because you don't really have any more story. And even in the third one, it's like you're really stretching things out. But if they'd gone any further with it, I think they probably would have started to suck. But I think they ended it at the right time. Although I think there are offshoot books that they might try to adapt later on. Who knows? But yeah, I enjoy them. I mean, it is certainly some of the best YA novel adaptations I've seen. Did they fool you into thinking Fitz actually died in the season 5 finale of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D? Well, well, they didn't have to fool me. He did die. That version of Fitz did. Of course, they kind of cheated because there's another Fitz out there, thanks to the magic of time travel. So they kind of cheated on that one. So I thought that was actually a clever twist. Although it does kind of suck now that they've got a Fitz. Basically, all Fitz's development in season 5 is going to be erased, including his own wedding, which kind of sucks for him. But at least he's not dead yet. I thought that was actually pretty clever. See, that's an example of using time travel in a well-written capacity. That's like the furthest thing away from what they do on The Flash, where the rules of time travel are just constantly changing from episode to episode depending on the needs of whatever scene they're in at the time. It's just they can't decide on how time travel is supposed to work, so it just works however the hell the writers want it to work, whenever they want it to work. Okay, in one episode it works this way, another episode it works this way, and sometimes there are consequences to it, and sometimes there aren't. They can't make up their fucking minds. But what S.H.I.E.L.D. did in season 5, I was like, okay, it's nice, it's contained, it's kind of open and shut there. They kind of did some time travel stuff. It worked. There weren't any egregious plot holes that I noticed, and I don't think they're going to revisit that. I wouldn't want them to, but they managed to do a time travel story well, and what they did made sense. And 99 times out of 100, what the Flash does with time travel does not make a lick of sense. I know you're unhappy with Star Wars and you didn't see Solo, but will you watch Episode 9? You know what? I probably will end up seeing Episode 9 because, God damn, it's still Star Wars, and Luke is going to be there, and I'm sure J.J. Abrams is going to try to retcon a lot of what Rian Johnson did. And if there's any chance we could get the real Luke Skywalker there and not Jake Skywalker or whoever the hell that was in Episode 8, if we're going to get the real Luke back, even if he's just a Force ghost, then I want to see it, even though it's probably going to break my heart. So I'm going to see it. I'm sure I'll review it. But I'm not looking forward to it. I'm just not. Thoughts on the Dark Phoenix build-up, and will you watch it in June? I will watch it. Although I honestly wish they weren't doing it. They butchered Dark Phoenix in X3, and now they're doing it again. And by all accounts, they have butchered it a second time. There is not any. I haven't seen any good buzz about that movie. Everything I've heard about it is saying that the movie is a disaster, and it's such a bitter pill because that whole continuity is just getting retconned away when the X-Men rights revert back to Marvel. So that this is just their last. They're just trying to just get these movies out there to just kind of squeeze some milk from the stone, basically, or squeeze some blood from a stone. And unfortunately, they're doing Dark Phoenix, and God, Dark Phoenix is such a complicated story. It's such a tough story to get right, and they just didn't. They didn't have the setup, first of all. In the comics, Dark Phoenix has a lot of buildup, a lot of setup, and Claremont was laying the groundwork for that story for a long time, and there's so many different elements that go into it. And they teased it a little bit in X-Men Apocalypse, but it was so bare bones. And so, oh yeah, Jean is a lot more powerful than she thought she was, and that's kind of it. And it's just going to be like such a bare bones and butchered version of it. And why? Why? All they're really doing is ensuring that there's going to be no desire to see Marvel do it the right way this time when Marvel gets the rights back. And I guess they could try, but we've already seen it done twice really badly now. And it's frustrating. mean, there are other stories they could adapt. You know, they could do something with Genosha or the Morlocks. We never really had a good movie about the Sentinels. They appeared in Days of Future Past, but they weren't like the main threat like they could have been. I don't know why they felt they had to go back to Dark Phoenix and do it a second time. With a first-time director, no less. And it's like, you didn't have the pieces in place to do this the right way. Oh, man. It's frustrating. I have no faith in that movie being good. But I will see it, and I guess I'll review it. But I don't think it's going to be good. I just don't. Let's see. Bring on the Spider-Man rants. No immediate plans to do those. I've been sitting on those for so long that I don't feel like I'm ready to do like a Spider-Man review justice yet. I feel like I'm still leveling up as a reviewer, as an editor, and I don't feel like I'm there yet. Because I'm still trying to nail down my exact style. I feel like I'm still like refining that. Once I'm at a level where I feel I could do the review the way I'd want to, then it'll happen. Have you seen the Orville yet? Yeah, I have seen it. I've seen a few episodes. A lot of people have asked me about the Orville. A bunch of people have asked me to review it, and it's difficult because, well, one, it's basically Star Trek, and again, SF Debris is already doing it, so I can't equal what he does. But also, I feel like how you feel about the Orville largely depends on how you feel about Star Trek, and I don't have a lot of strong feelings about Star Trek. And thus, I don't really have a lot of strong feelings about the Orville. I like Star Trek. I own all the TOS movies, but I'm hardly what you'd call a Trekkie. So there's a lot of things. There are probably a lot of things that go over my head, and it's not a bad show. It's amusing. Some of the humor just doesn't speak to me, but. I like it. Excuse me. It's just it hasn't really become like an obsession. I see a Doomcock raving about it. Saying he did a video about it the other day, saying, "Oh, this was the best episode yet," and all that. And like, yeah, it sounds good. I look for some kind of a desire inside to check the show out, and I can't really get there. And in order to do like a review proper of a show, I kind of have to feel strongly about it one way or the other. And with the Orville, I can't quite get there yet. So I either have to like really love it or really dislike it. And the Orville exists like somewhere in the middle. Will you check out Alita Battle Angel? Yeah, that's the plan. I intend to do a movie review of that movie. I think it looks interesting. I think the look of Alita is still really creeping me out. I don't know why they couldn't just use Rosa Salazar's real face. The CG face is just it's creepy. It's still creepy. But it does look like a fun movie. I'm gonna try to read some of the manga before, because I've never read the manga, so I don't know how it's gonna stack up as an adaptation. But I'm gonna hopefully I'll be able to. Can't talk. Hopefully I'll have a chance to read some of the manga before I see the movie, and I do plan on doing a review. That'll probably be the next video. I think after I finish this, I'm gonna try to focus on the next episodic long-form review of the first non-Supergirl show I want to cover. but I don't anticipate finishing that one before Alita comes out. And so I guess next will be the review for Alita, and then after that, presumably Dragon Prince Season 2. If I have anything to say about that one, I think I probably will. But yeah, I do intend to review Alita. I do. Barry's an idiot. None of them can keep a secret identity. There's a lot of that going around in the DCEU, the DC shows, apparently. Barry gets his butt kicked every week. The writing is #bad this year, especially. Wow, they would have to seriously. They would have to work really hard to be worse than the first 3 seasons. That's when I stopped watching. But if this year especially, wow. Well, so if it's gotten worse, even worse than when I was watching, that's quite an accomplishment. Okay, let's see. Nailer761, thank you for the super chat. Thoughts on Legion and the next season? You know, I've never actually seen Legion. Not for any particular reason. It never really occurred to me to check it out. I do like Audrey Plaza a lot, and I've actually heard the show is very good. But it just, to me, it always felt like a really unnecessary show to make. And it was one of those situations where you could tell they were just scratching and clawing and just looking for anything, any character, any situation they could use to just milk as much as they possibly could out of the X-Men IP. That's how you get a show about Legion of all people. Now I've actually heard good things about it. I never really had the urge to check it out. I mean, The Gifted is kind of in the same boat with that. At least at that one, you have some of the X-Men characters in there, even though you don't actually have the X-Men. Yeah, brilliant plan. Let's do an X-Men show without the X-Men. Yeah, that's like a great idea. And I don't hate The Gifted. I think it has the potential to be good, but more often than not, that potential gets squandered due to the budget clearly not being all that high, or them not having the right characters. And it's like they're trying to avoid doing X-Men stuff. Like, why? That's what people want. Just don't fight it. Embrace it, you know? Yeah, I'm sorry I don't have a better answer for you, but I have not seen Legion. I've heard good things about it. I have nothing against the show beyond my own opinions about like the unnecessariness of it. But I have not seen it. I guess I'd have to check it out at some point, though. Okay, subscribe to the Dawn of YouTube. There's my shill for you. The Dawn of YouTube is a good guy who gave me several dollars on Super Chat. He's a good guy. Go subscribe to him right now. The Dawn of YouTube. You see him highlighted in green and blue in the chat room. Subscribe to the Dawn of YouTube right now. Go to his page and subscribe to him right now. Do it, and it will please me. Yeah, there's your shill. It will please me if you would subscribe to the Dawn of YouTube. Excuse me. Let's see, and I lost my place again. Thoughts on Bird of Prey and the fantabulous emancipation of one Harley Quinn? I feel like there's still... Yeah, we're finally seeing signs that the DCEU is starting to get its act together now that they've got a few wins under their belt with Aquaman and Wonder Woman. But there's still plenty of signs of those people just acting like you chickens with their heads cut off. And I think that's how you get a Birds of Prey movie without Oracle. And apparently Barbara Gordon will not be in the movie. And it's going to be like another Harley Quinn vehicle. And look, I'm I'm hardly knowledgeable about the Birds of Prey comics, but I know you kind of need to have your core three characters of Oracle and Huntress and Black Canary. And if you're not going to have Oracle in there, then like what's the point? That's what people are going to be expecting, you know. I think that it just feels like another case of them wanting to use the IP and exploit the IP, but not really wanting to do it justice. And I think it's not going to be the kind of movie fans are going to want. I mean, I liked Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn quite a bit, but now they're inserting her into a Birds of Prey movie, and I guess she's going to be the main character, and you're not going to have Oracle. It feels like this really weird, sloppy mishmash. And I'm not a fan of the concept. Look, I mean, if you want to do a Birds of Prey movie, do a Birds of Prey movie. I mean, go back to the source material. I haven't even read the Birds of Prey comics, and I've got an idea of what you could do, but they don't seem to want to do it. If you want to do a Harley Quinn movie, just do a Harley Quinn movie. I don't know where this Birds of Prey stuff is coming from, when it's obviously not going to be the Birds of Prey that fans of the comics want to see. I remember reading Dark Phoenix as a kid. Wasn't it on the moon for the final battle? Yes, it was. It was the X-Men versus the Shi'ar Imperial Guard for. It was like a trial by combat for the life of Jean Grey. So if the Imperial Guard win, then they kill Jean Grey because they think she as the host of the Phoenix is too dangerous to be kept alive. And the tragedy is that they're probably right. And in the end, Jean sacrifices herself because she doesn't think she can contain the Phoenix and keep herself under control. And she allows herself to be killed lest she lose control of the Phoenix and eat another star system. Spoiler. I don't think we'll be seeing that in the Dark Phoenix movie. Oh, damn. Yeah, my voice is starting to die out, so let's try to hurry this along. Have you seen The Expanse? Yes, I have seen The Expanse, and it is awesome. I have not seen season 3 yet. Not for any particular reason. I just I'm trying to. I want to be watching less TV week to week, not more, because I want to. I'm trying to limit my distractions as much as possible because I've got ADD already. I don't need more distractions. So now I did enjoy the first 2 seasons. I think it takes a little while to get into because it's a very story-driven show, and the characters take a while to kind of grow on you, and it takes some doing to kind of figure out how the universe operates and how the world works. If you're interested, Doomcock did a really helpful video about that, how he explains like the basic premise of the show and like all the world building and stuff. You should check that out. For me, I kind of had to like read like the Wikipedia page and familiarize myself with the books and stuff. But after that, I came back to it. And I really enjoyed The Expanse. I think it's a beautiful looking show. It's like, honestly, it's like a movie every week. That's how good the production is. And first 2 seasons are great. I've not seen season 3 yet, but now I'm in a position where I can binge watch it when I want to. So I'll definitely go back at some point. I just haven't had a chance to really check that out yet because, honestly, the last year or so was kind of rough on me, and I had other concerns. Love your channel. I did a video on SJW's killing Star Wars. Good for you. We can always use more videos destroying the way Rian Johnson destroyed Star Wars. Good for you. Let's see. The whole replace male from the dawn of YouTube saying this. The guy who you should all go. Who you should all go subscribe to right now because he gave me super chats. The whole replace male characters with girls trends is dumb. Like if they swapped Laura Croft with a dude, I'd be pissed. Sadly, I feel it's only a matter of time before Doom Guy becomes Doom Girl. Yeah, honestly, I mean that is a really ridiculous double standard. Like, all the SJWs and the feminists got so bent out of shape with this Ghostbusters 2016 thing. How anyone who dared to speak ill of the fact that they were rebooting it with 4 women, anyone who had a bad word to say about that movie, oh, you're just some ignorant sexist pig, and it's all because sexism, and you're intimidated by strong female characters and blah blah blah. But that goes both ways. And if you took a female character, a classic female character, and replaced her with a man, gender swapped her into a man, they'd be the ones complaining about this. They'd say, "Oh, this is outrageous. You can't take a strong female character and make her a man. This I don't even know the word for it, but they'd be the first ones complaining about it. But if we complain about it when male characters are turned into women, then it's outrageous. It's a ridiculous double standard. I mean, it's a lot of the stuff they do with the. You see the same type of stuff with gender swapping, with not gender swapping, race bending. How when Fat Four Stick came out and they cast Michael B. Jordan as Johnny Storm, that decision had a lot of defenders saying, "Oh, I saw people saying, oh, well, he's just the best actor for the role, and you're racist if you don't like this." And one of my favorite arguments for this, I saw somebody say this on Twitter once. They're saying, well, a person said, "Oh, well, if Johnny Storm can be black and that's okay, then I guess it would be okay if a white guy played Luke Cage, right?" No response from the other side. No response. And I saw this person on Tumblr who this is before this is when they were just casting Spider-Man: Homecoming. So before Tom Holland got cast, there was this person on Tumblr who said, I'm not going to say who they are because I don't want to give this person any more attention, but they said they were making a lot of noise about how they should cast a person of color as the new Peter Parker. Oh, Peter Parker should be black. Yeah, or should be anything but white. And then they cast Tom Holland, and this person in particular, I've noticed, has always made a lot of noise about how characters should be played by actors who are the same ethnicity as the characters from the comics. And she was really upset that Scarlet Witch was not being played by a Jewish actress, because that's really important to her, apparently. But she was also screaming about how Peter Parker should be cast as black or Hispanic or whatever. Just anything but white. So I sent her and asked about this. Like, you're always saying that the characters should be played by actors who are the same ethnicities as the characters are in the comics, but you're saying that Peter Parker should be cast as black? That's a double standard, right? And she just got really butthurt and upset. And so, yeah, it's a huge double standard. It applies to the gender swapping too. So it's just these, these SJWs, they want it their way, but they don't understand that if it goes one way, it has to go the other way too. That's how equality works. But they don't want to hear it. They want it their way, and they're not interested in equality. They want special treatment is what they want. So they don't want equal treatment. They want preferential treatment. Are you going to check out Shazam when it comes out? Yeah, that's the plan. R.I.P. Inhumans. Are you referring to the comics or the mercifully short-lived TV series? Because wow, that TV series was bad. Holy crap, was it bad? And there was a big push for the Inhumans in the comics when they couldn't get the rights to the X-Men back, so they kind of put the X-Men in the back seat and tried to replace them with the Inhumans. Didn't work out so well. Excuse me. Let's see. I thought Logan killed Phoenix in X2. No, that happened in X3. Question asked by the Dawn of YouTube, who you should all go and subscribe to right now. Yes, yeah, Logan did kill Phoenix, but that was in X3, not X2. Let's see. Just saw the trailer for the new Justice League animated movie that appears to be set in the old Justice League Unlimited universe. What's your take on that? I saw that too. I think that's really cool. I think anytime we can get Kevin Conroy back to voice Batman again, it's a great thing. And I really did like that. I really did love that show a lot. You know, I grew up watching Justice League, the Justice League Unlimited show. So I think that's really cool. I'm excited to see it. I would love. I want to get some more information about it because I didn't even know they were making that. But I think it's really cool because you know, Kevin Conroy is the Batman all day long. Let's see. Lee Cole the Fourth. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you for the super chats, guys. All of you who donated there. That's yeah. I'm very grateful to that because I didn't. I didn't mention the super chat there. I mean, if you feel like throwing a few bucks my way to help support the channel, feel free. I'm not going to ask anyone to do that. But I'm very appreciative to anyone who feels like doing it. That means a lot to me. Thank you. Let's see. Thoughts on Ronda Rousey voicing Sonya Blade in the new Mortal Kombat? I would have preferred Gina Carano. Because Gina has, you know, some acting credits under her belt, and I've liked what she's done as an actor for the most part. And I mean, I know it's just like a voice acting gig, but I don't know. I've not been enamored with Ronda's acting on WWE TV. I think she did a movie at some point, but yeah, and I think she was in one of the Expendables movies also, which I did not see. But yeah, I would have preferred. I get it. It's Ronda Rousey, the baddest woman on the planet. You wanted to voice Sonya Blade in a video game I'm not going to play. Fine, whatever. It's not a big deal to me. I would have preferred Gina Carano though. Just kind of my personal preference. Don't like Tom Holland's Spider-Man. You would prefer Spider-Man 2099. Yeah, I like the Tom Holland version, although I would love to see Spider-Man 2099. I would love for them to adapt the 2099 universe because I really like those books. I really loved Peter David's original run on Spider-Man 2099. Also, X-Men 2099 was really cool as well. Before those books all kind of got ruined. But you know, those initial runs on those books were really cool. I didn't read the other ones, but Spider-Man and X-Men 2099, really cool books back in the day. Another batch of new questions all at once. The same problem with Ghostbusters has plagued the Doctor Who fandom as well. After 55 years of a male lead character, they decided to regenerate him into a female this past year for reasons. You know, I'm more forgiving of the Doctor Who thing just because I get it. I mean, he regenerates into a new body, so I don't really see any reason why the Doctor can't be a woman. mean, just because it hadn't been done yet doesn't mean that it couldn't be done. I mean, if he was going to regenerate into a female body, okay. It's not, it doesn't, to me, it doesn't seem out of the realm of possibility. It's just a matter of what they do with it. And I haven't watched it. I'm not a big Doctor Who fan, but from what I hear, the show has kind of gone, political. I hear there's more like gender politics and SJW stuff, and now specifically because the Doctor's a woman now, and man, you could have avoided all that. Just treat the female Doctor, just treat her as a character. You don't have to get political. That's what people revolt against. People aren't against female characters. They're against forced female characters used for political reasons. That's what people don't like. And from what I hear, that's kind of what the Lady Doctor has turned into. I think that's what's turning people off. And I heard the ratings haven't been all that hot for Doctor Who. But I have no real attachment to that series. I've never been able to get into Doctor Who really, so it doesn't mean anything to me. But as I understand it, the Lady Doctor has not been received all that well. Let's see. I want to be told. The TV series, the Inhumans TV series is what I'm referring to. I really wish it turned out better. I liked Lockjaw. Lockjaw looked good. At least he did in the pilot, which was the only episode I watched, and I didn't watch any more because it was terrible. Yeah, I don't know what happened there. There is a popular theory, and I think it has a lot of merit, that Ike Perlmutter made the Inhuman show and deliberately tanked it just to stick it to Kevin Feige for separating from the TV division. Because I think that goes back to I think it was Captain America: Civil War. How there was a big falling out, a big disagreement over the amount of money they spent on that. I think a lot of that stemmed from Robert Downey Jr.'s paycheck on that movie. So there are a lot of disagreements on the budget. And so Kevin Feige went to the higher-ups at Disney and be like, I don't want to deal with Perlmutter anymore. I just want to report directly to you guys. So can we just take Perlmutter out of this equation? And they went ahead and did that because, Feige's the golden goose. And he's made them billions of dollars. So the theory is that Ike Perlmutter was really butthurt about that. And when the Inhumans movie got taken off the schedule, he took it and rushed out a TV show with a hack creative team and a terrible script and just completely tanked the whole project as a way to just give it the big FU to Kevin Feige. And you know what? I believe it. Because looking at the first episode of the Inhumans, I don't know how that possibly got greenlit. It was so awful. So awful. Let's see. Let's see, Anubis XX. As a black guy, I'm right there with you about the random race swapping for no reason. Yeah, I'm not against it entirely. I think there are characters that you can race bend and admit it doesn't. I mean, I think as long as it makes sense to do, it's okay, and it's not gonna fundamentally change something about the character. I think what weirded me out about the race bending in Four Stick with Johnny Storm is because you had to change something about the character in order to do that. So now Johnny and Sue aren't like blood relatives anymore. They're not brother and sister. They're, Sue is adopted. And it's like, well, why? You're changing something about the character that's been canon for decades, like 60 years or something, just so you can accommodate the casting of a black actor. And it felt very awkward because why change it if you don't have to? You know, it honestly might have felt less awkward if they had cast Sue as black as well, because at least then they would have been. You wouldn't have to say, oh, she's adopted. You could have said, oh, they're blood relatives now. It honestly would, in a weird way, it would have made more sense that way, honestly. But when you're changing the look of these classic characters to that extent, there's going to be pushback. There's never not going to be pushback on it. And for me personally, I like it when at least like the classic or the iconic characters, I like them to look like they just stepped off the comic page. So I prefer it if they look like their comics counterparts as much as possible. With supporting characters and stuff like that, I'm not going to raise a big stink about it. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It would be like it would kind of be like casting Jon Stewart as a white guy. It's just awkward, and it feels weird, and there's no real reason to do it, other than for political reasons. So my mindset is, don't change it if you don't have to. Now you want to make things more inclusive and more diverse with other characters. Okay, you want to cast Baron Mordo as a black guy? You know what? Fine, go ahead. I'm not going to touch the Ancient One thing. That was weird. I know they did that because they wanted the movie to play in China or something, and they couldn't do that with a Tibetan actor. Okay, I get it. I don't know why you couldn't just go with like a Chinese actor or something, but whatever. I guess you got to take it on a case-by-case basis. Sometimes you can get away with it, and sometimes it's just weird. But I should probably stop talking right now before I say something I'm going to regret. Let's see. Thoughts on Creed 2? I didn't see it. I've not seen the Creed movies. I've heard they're excellent. I'm not really big on boxing movies. It's just not my cup of tea. Yeah, similar to Ghostbusters 2016. It's not the gender flip is the issue, but it's that this season of Doctor Who was poorly written and presented. A shame, really. That's too bad. I mean, like I said, I'm not against the Doctor being a woman in principle, as long as it's well done and done for the right reasons. But it seemed like they did it for political reasons, which is, you could tell an interesting story with the Doctor being female for the first time in his existence. But if you're going to do it, you do it because you think there's a good story to tell there. And as long as the story is good, I don't have a problem with that, with the Doctor being a woman. But if you're just doing it because you think it should happen because of hashtag representation, people are going to react poorly. How condescending do you find the MCU's treatment of Spider-Man? Condescending? I think he's been treated very well, actually. I'll tell you one thing I don't necessarily, I'm not all that crazy about, is the relationship with Iron Man. Now, not Iron Man kind of mentoring Peter, because that actually did kind of happen in the comics at one point for a while. But him kind of having those like Cinderella story where Iron Man kind of becomes like his fairy godmother, how he gives him all this new tech and like the super high tech suit with the built-in AI and stuff. And that's not really Spider-Man. Spider-Man is like the hard luck hero who's always down on his luck and he's never been the guy with like the rich benefactor. And yes, I know there are stories in the comics about he was a tech billionaire for a while, and he was living in Avengers Tower with Iron Man giving him the Iron Spider suit for a while. But those were like that's always been kind of a temporary thing. Overall, Spider-Man is the hard luck hero. So Tony Stark kind of taking him under his wing and giving him the high tech suit, and that felt wrong to me. I mean, him having like the classic suit, okay, but when you give him all these gadgets and stuff built into it with Jennifer Connelly's voice in his ear, I love Jennifer Connelly, but this doesn't feel like this feels wrong to me. That's kind of the main issue I have with him. Aside from changing, like making all those weird changes, like MJ is not MJ and Liz is not Liz Allen. It's just weird stuff like that. But there's no change that I felt was like really egregious or nothing that would turn me off the movie. Well, overall, I think this is probably the most accurate depiction of Spider-Man that we've gotten in the movies. Like finally, we get a Spider-Man who's funny, because none of the other movies got this. I think the Amazing Spider-Man reboot tried, but it didn't work a lot of the time. But finally, we have a Spider-Man who's funny, who cracks jokes and stuff. And the Raimi movies didn't get this. Spider-Man is supposed to be funny. He's not the guy who's crying every other scene. He makes jokes. He gets under his enemy's skin by just roasting them nonstop. That's what Spider-Man does. And we finally got a Spider-Man who's cracking jokes. I mean, I had the biggest, goofiest grin on my face watching Captain America: Civil War, and Spider-Man. He's cracking jokes when he's fighting Falcon and Winter Soldier. He's like, "Hey, buddy, I think you lost this." When the car comes flying out of nowhere, it's like, "Yes, Spider-Man is supposed to be funny. They finally got it right." So I like the MCU's version of Spider-Man. I don't know what you're talking about, really. Excuse me. Okay. What spin-off Star Wars movie would you love to see? Well, I think they could do an Obi-Wan movie. That's one that people really seem to want. Bring Ewan McGregor back as Obi-Wan. Tell a story of what happened between episodes 3 and 4. That's the one that people seem to really want to see. I keep wanting them to do like Old Republic stuff. There's tons of stories that you could tell with that. I mean, a lot of them have happened in the game. I mean, there's like Sith, like the story of the Rule of Two. You can make a story about the Rule of Two and how the Sith came to develop that philosophy. I think that's probably covered in the books. I haven't read all the books. Of course, they've all been retconned away now. But I'd like to see some Old Republic stuff. Let's see. Why does Inhumans fail, but Eternals is going to be a main franchise? Wow. Well, Inhumans failed because it was just a really bad show. The script was terrible. I think one of the main problems for me is that there was no audience viewpoint character. Like that really needed a character who has no idea what Inhumans are, so they can ask questions, and when it's explained to her, it's explained to the viewer. So maybe maybe the season could have focused on a character who just became an Inhuman, doesn't know what's happening to them, and then they meet someone who takes them up to the moon, and so they can ask questions like, "How is there a city on the moon? Who are you people? How do you all exist on the moon?" And then they can explain it to them, and it's explained to the audience. But instead, the show just dropped us on the moon, and we're meant to accept all this stuff without any explanations for how it came to be. And it was you know what? I could do a whole separate video about how that show just did not work on any level. I don't want to get into it now, but it failed because it was just a really, really bad show. And I don't understand the push for the Eternals. Apparently, they want to do an Eternals movie. I know next to nothing about the Eternals, which makes the decision to do an Eternals movie all the more questionable to me, because it's not a well-known IP. I don't think. Of course, Guardians of the Galaxy wasn't exactly huge before the movie came out. And they changed that, so maybe they think lightning can strike twice. Uh, I couldn't tell you what their thinking is there. Do you think MCU Eternals movie will work? Well, you know, they haven't struck out yet. So they've got momentum on their side, and Kevin Feige seems to know what the hell he's doing. So there's no reason to think it won't work. They haven't had a flop yet. Although I'll get back to you on Captain Marvel, because you know, you hear in test screenings, the thing people are raving about in the test screenings are, oh, well, the cat was really cool. The cat was so cool. Make a movie about the cat. Give the cat its own spin-off movie. Like, you're raving about the cat. What about everything else? And then crickets. Not hearing much about anything else. Just people raving about the cat. And if the best thing people can say about the movie is the hero's pet is really fun, they might have a few problems with that movie. So I'll get back to you on Captain Marvel, but up till now, everything they've done has worked. So there's no reason to think they can't make the Eternals work. All right. We may have to think about wrapping this up pretty soon, guys, because I don't know how much longer my voice is going to last. It just doesn't last very long in this apartment. You know, I'm living in a really old building, and so there's a ton of dust in the air, which I'm allergic to. And I tried to clean it up as best I can, but there's only so much I can get rid of, and my voice just doesn't last very long. It's one of the reasons why I just can't wait to get out of here. So, but I've got another 2.5 months at least. Let's see. Do you think the time frame of the Star Wars movies, from the prequels over the originals to sequels, 60 years, I think, even has any potential left? Because I can't care anymore. I think it does. That's why I want them to go backwards and do like Old Republic stuff. I don't know if you can do. I don't know if you can go forward now that the Skywalker saga is supposedly, you know, being finished off, and I don't know if I'd want them to. But there's plenty of stuff in the past that they could do. You know, it's Star Wars. There's endless stories to tell with Star Wars. You just got to have the right people telling those stories. Dave Filoni, you know. Let's see. Okay. Thanks for answering my Game of Thrones question earlier. I think the reverse will happen. Dany dies after giving birth to her and Jon's child, and Jon leaves the Iron Throne to the child. That could happen too. It could end with them both dying and the child on the Iron Throne. Either way, I'm not anticipating a happily ever after for those characters. At best, the best they could hope for, I think, is some kind of bittersweet ending. I think we can expect the White Walkers to be defeated, but it's going to cost them. So Captain Marvel is tracking for a $140 to $160 million opening weekend. I fully expect it to have a huge opening weekend, because people are going to see it just because it's a Marvel movie at this point. You know, that's how strong the Marvel brand is. You know, people will see it just because it's a Marvel movie. Now I think week 2 is going to be the really telling thing. If there's a big drop off in week 2, that'll tell you a lot. Or if if it has a lot of audience retention in week 2, then you know it's got legs, and maybe all the criticism was overblown. But we don't know yet. I fully expect it to have a really big opening weekend, just on general principles. Eat a pickle works wonders for clearing up throat problems. Really? Eat a pickle? I haven't heard about that. I've heard eating an apple helps. I have not heard pickle before. That's interesting. I don't have any pickles, unfortunately. Uh, maybe I should get some. Who should the DCEU appoint to be their version of Kevin Feige to ensure quality? Oh god, oh boy. You know, maybe they should give James Gunn a shot. I'm just saying. I mean, I believe Feige had James Gunn pegged as kind of like their new architect going forward, because they wanted to expand into like the Marvel cosmic universe, and James Gunn was going to be like the main guy, spearheading that after Whedon left. Um, so Feige obviously had high opinions of him from a creative standpoint, and as I understand it, Feige did not want to lose James Gunn, but Disney kind of forced his hand on that one, forced him to get rid of him. So James Gunn's an untapped creative resource, and Warner Brothers has got him now. So maybe have him be the creative architect, because they got to have somebody in there to kind of structure these movies and time them properly. Because, excuse me, because right now they're just throwing stuff at the wall, and that's how you get a Superman, and then Batman v Superman, and Wonder Woman, then just going right into Avenger, right into Justice League without doing all like separate movies for all the other characters. Then just doing Suicide Squad from out of nowhere without setting up any of those characters first, and all the crap that's been going on with the Flash movie. How they wanted to do Flashpoint. Why not just do a Flash origin movie? I don't fucking know. Why would you start with Flashpoint? It makes no sense at all. And then all this stuff that they're doing, all that there's a Joker movie, but I don't know if it's going to be the Jared Leto Joker or it's a different Joker. Is that supposed to be the same character? Who the hell knows? And now Birds of Prey without Oracle, but it's really just a Harley Quinn movie. There's so many weird problems going on. They need somebody to kind of just they need somebody as like a creative architect to just make sense of all this stuff. And they don't have what? They don't have anything. I think James Gunn could be that person. Just give him the creative reins and see if he can like stabilize and clarify all these things. Because right now, like I said, chickens with their heads cut off. They've gotten lucky a couple times, but so far they got no one steering the ship, and they need someone steering the ship. Conceivably, I think James Gunn could do that. Not David Ayer, that's for sure. You know what? I'm sympathetic to David Ayer just because he literally had 6 weeks to write the Suicide Squad script, and then he had to rush through it, and it was obviously plagued by studio interference. With the higher ups wanting to make changes and everything, that was so obviously a movie that got chopped to pieces in the editing bay because the studio wanted all these different things, and the movie wasn't the worst thing ever. I actually liked Suicide Squad more than I disliked it. It's definitely a movie with a lot of problems, but it was not a train wreck. I think considering the environment in which David Ayer was working in and all the problems he was facing with while making the movie, it could have been so much worse. So much worse. So I'm very sympathetic to David Ayer's situation in that one. Given more time to write a better script and less studio interference, I think he could deliver a really good movie. But I would prefer him just work on the Bright sequel. Because I did like Bright quite a bit, actually. Singers eat pickles before live performance. Do they? I did not know that. So thank you for pointing that out, the Dawn of YouTube, who you should all go subscribe to right now. See, I think we will end with this because my voice is kind of hurting me. I've also heard a rumor that Tyrion turns heel on Dany and Jon by selling them out to Cersei, and well, he pays for it. Wouldn't surprise me, to be honest. Really? I don't know, dude. Tyrion really hates Cersei, and Jon and Dany are kind of like the only hope to save Westeros from the White Walkers. I don't know why Tyrion would do that. That would be a hell of a plot twist, but I don't really see how it could happen. But hey, I guess we can't rule it out entirely, because who the hell knows? Show ain't over yet. And guys, I think we will end it there, because I don't know more. Damn, I'm sorry. I don't know how much longer I can keep talking like this. I got to rest my voice, and then I will. I can start getting to work on that next the non-Supergirl review. So thanks to everybody for tuning in. Thank you for all the super chats. I very much appreciate that. I was not expecting any of that, but thank you to everyone who gave me a couple bucks. All of you, go subscribe to the Dawn of YouTube right now. All of you, go do that. Go do that. It's okay. The stream is over. You're not going to miss anything. But thanks to everybody who tuned in. Thank you for 10,000 plus subscribers. That still blows my mind to this day. I had less than 150 a matter of weeks ago, and the fact that this happened so quickly from out of nowhere, it's still kind of hard to believe. But I'm very grateful. I'm very appreciative, and it just makes me want to work harder on content for you guys. And hopefully I'll be able to move out of this place soon and into a place where recording is much easier. So I'll be able to put content out faster, because recording right now is it's an absolute nightmare in this place. It's extremely difficult. And once that gets easier, hopefully, my output will increase. So I'll be able to get these things out in a more timely fashion. So once again, thank you to everybody. Thank you for the super chats. Go subscribe to the Dawn of YouTube right now, and I will look into that pickle thing, and hopefully we can do this again soon. Yeah, maybe I'll do this again if and when I hit another milestone. I don't know what that'll be yet. What, 20,000, 25,000? I don't know. But yeah, well, I'll try to do this again soon, and I will talk to you guys later. So thank you for tuning in, and good night. I'll talk to you soon. Subscribe to the Dawn of YouTube right now.